factoring in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c using the x method when b and c are positive. Now, you've already factored polynomials where the x squared term, the coefficient of the x squared term is 1. So now we're going to look at factoring when the coefficient of the x squared term is any number other than 1. So it just requires a few more steps. There's plenty of methods to factoring those type of polynomials. The box method, slide and divide, grouping method. But I chose the X method because it seems to be a little quicker way to do it. And all you need to do is fill in 5 parts. We got the X, and then you got each part of the X, and then you have the factors of. And once you have those 5 parts, you'll be able to write your final answer. So let's get started. Our first example is 4x squared plus 13x plus 3. Now, as you can see in your X picture, you have A's, B's, and C's, and we are factoring in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So the first thing we need to do is identify what are our A's, B's, and C's. So your A is always, okay, so your A is your coefficient of your x squared term. Your B is your coefficient of your x term in the middle. And the sign in front of it goes with it, just so you know. And then your C is your constant at the end, and the sign in front of it goes with it. Okay, so now we're going to use those 3 numbers to fill in our x down here to solve our polynomial. So let's start with AC. AC means you're going to multiply your A and your C. So you're going to multiply whatever your A number is and then your C number. So that's 4 times a positive 3. I'll write this down so you know that's where I'm getting it from. And it is 12. So our AC is 12. And then we're going to identify what our B is. Our B is positive 13. I'm going to write positive 13 so you know it's a positive. Now, before we can fill in these other 2 parts, we need to get our factors first because these are our 2 middle terms. All right. When you get your 2 middle terms, when you multiply, or your 2 factors, when you multiply them together, you'll get 12. And when you add them together, you should get 13. But first, we need to write down all our factors. And what are we finding the factors of? It's whatever AC is. And that is a positive 12. Okay. Now, if B and C are both positive, your B is positive, your C is positive, that means both your factors that you choose are going to be positive. So we're going to write down all our factors of 12, which is positive 1, positive 12, positive 2, positive 6, and positive 3, positive 4. Okay. Now, when we add those factors together, 1 plus 12 is 13. And it just so happens your middle term is 13, so that's the 2 factors we're looking for. And we're going to fill them over here on these 2 missing parts of the x. So right here, I'm going to put a 1, and over here, I'm going to put a 12. Now this part where it goes, it's like an underline and A, you're going to write a fraction. And what you're doing is you're dividing by whatever A is. So in this case, A is 4, so we're going to say 1 over 4, and then we say 12 over 4. You need to reduce your fractions if they can be reduced evenly. 1 over 4 can't be reduced any further, but 12 over 4 can be reduced to 3. Now, you could say just 3. I'm going to go ahead and say 3 over 1, and I'll explain that when we do our answer. The last part is writing our answer. So we're going to do what they call bottoms up to get our answer. Because we're going to start from the bottom of the fraction to begin writing our final answer. So I'm going to write over here bottoms up because that's what you're going to end up doing to get your final answer. So final answer, bottoms up. Okay, so when we're looking at this first fraction, we've got 1 over 4, so we're going to start at the bottom. So we're going to write 4 and then an x, because that's the variable we use. And then that 1 is positive, so you say plus 1. Close your parentheses. And then for this one, the 1 at the bottom is, now I'm going to write this in and I'm going to explain that you don't necessarily have to write that in to get your final answer. But 1x and then plus 3. So what you're doing is really, the 1 is a coefficient of the x squared term, the x term, but you don't necessarily have to write a 1. Usually they don't write 1s as coefficients, but I'm going to write it in there because if you wrote it in there, you're not wrong necessarily. That's not going to be the way they're really going to write it. They're really going to write it, final answer, 4x plus 1 times x plus 3. Okay, so that's our first example of factoring with the x method. Now, let's go to our second example. Second example here is 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. First thing I want to do, I want to identify my A's, B's, and C's. So we got an A for the 6, B for positive 19, and C for positive 10. Then we're going to fill in our top and our bottom parts of our X. So AC is A times C, which is 6 times 10, or 60. Our B is 19. It's in the middle term. So we're finding factors of whatever AC is, and AC is a positive 60. And remember, since B and C are both positive, both your factors of 60 are going to be positive. So we're going 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, and then 6 and 10. Right? One of these sets of factors adds to 19, our B down here. So it's not 1 and 60, that's 61, that's 32, 23, and ding, 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 we got 19. So that's the two factors we're going to use. And we're going to go back over here to the X, and we're going to put 4 here and 15 here. We're going to divide by whatever our A is. Our A is 6. We're going to divide by 6. Divide by 6. Always reduce your fractions. So this is going to reduce 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Here, 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 6 2 times. Now we got all our pieces. We can write our final answer. Okay. So our final answer here, remember we're doing bottoms up. So here for this one, I'll start at the bottom. So it's 3x, and that's a plus 2. But this one is a 2x plus 5. I'm going to rewrite the final answer, put a box around it. Now, to check your answer, you can always use the FOIL method or a box method to check your answer, and you should get the original problem back. 3x times 2x is a 6x squared. 3x times 5 is 15x. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 5 is 10. So that'll give you 6x squared. The middle term would be 19x, and your constant is 10. You can always use the FOIL method to check, but that's our first two examples on using the X method when both B and C are positive.